So in this way, just during the retreat, we do this Guru Yoga practice, and then also in your daily practice, if one could do in this way, it is beneficial and also important. So Dharma practice is not like just 2-3 days or just few months or few years. And when we are eating food, that until that death happened to us, still to that we need to eat. That we just one day eat and one day not eat, or sometimes drink tea or sometimes not drinking tea. We are not doing that way. And until the death happened to us, still to that we need to just eat the food. Because that we need to survive our body. So similar like that, this our Dharma practice is also that the whole lifetime until that we reach to the ultimate goal. So in this way, based on that power of the practice, that if one could just continue for whole life, and it is also possible that one could have a realization or enlightenment within one lifetime. Even just one could not happen that way, at least one would have some freedom in one's life, that how one wants to just reborn in samsara. And like when we are eating food, then just eating lots of food just one time, and then we cannot just stay in that way just for 4 or 5 days not eating food. We have to eat every day. So similar like that, Dharma practice is also that 1 or 2 days just working very hard and then thinking, and then after some time just leaving, not doing practice. It is not the right way. So like in Tibet, that we have just like a saying in Tibet, like a asar, which means some people, in the first moment when you see, it just become like as if you are just really familiar, since long time, and almost like thinking you are known for each other, for a while. But actually then when one just getting used to it, and then later on just kind of making distance between each other, and then losing that kind of relationship, that is not just a good quality. So similar like that, Dharma practice also, in the beginning kind of just getting so excited, want to do the practice, working hard, and then after some time, then just slowly giving up, that one should not do in this way. And that the good personality of a person is that however the others they act, whether they are just kind of nice and it seems like more familiar to you or not. Anyway, once you got familiar to each other or known to each other, then whatever it does, one to be just very stable and firm, and that is just a good quality. So the Dharma practice that one have to just carry through in a very stable way with a kind of commitment until one could get accomplished with the practice. So the Dharma practice, if we just have faith and believe and rely upon, that is something ultimately we could attain complete enlightenment, and even temporarily within this lifetime it helps to get rid of all this kind of obstacle, and that is something very definite, 100% sure that one could have all this kind of results. And all the worldly activities such as all this kind of like a wealth and belongings and fame and so forth, whatever one could just make, but still there is no anything that which is stable or reliable at the end. So this, if you examine, of course you can just know, not necessarily I have to just explain to you. And the Dharma, if you really rely upon with your full mind or concentration, that ultimately that you can just achieve the result and never ever deceives you. And also that one have to just try to just get rid of these afflicted minds, and that as less possible as one could. If we just really think over and over to just carry through the practice and to lessen the afflicted minds, however that affliction is big or great, of course we can just tame them and subdue them. And these negative emotions, this afflicted mind, right now when we think, it seems like it is so difficult to abandon, but if we just really think over and try to work on it, and there is nothing that which we cannot do it. And one have to think what is the quality is there in the afflicted mind. And these afflictions or the negative emotions and giving rise to it, and however at the present, it seems like there is some pleasure or happiness, but ultimately that it makes you to wander in the sixth realm, in the samsara endlessly. And if one do a perfect Dharma practice, that there is no way that you will be wandering in the sixth realms. And that I never heard that even in the past that something happened like that, and even in the present, that is not possible. So you all are also a practitioner, Dharma practitioner, that of course you might know. Anyway, it is just important how to think and how to understand in that way. Whatever the worldly activities or just Dharma practices, that first, just think by mind and just to stabilize in that way what one just could possibly do. That is just very important. As explained yesterday, that all these kind of conceptual thoughts that naturally arise, and even the worldly just activity, one thinks, oh, if I do this way, then this must be just better. That sort of thoughts just is several times it happens. And even we do something about something worldly work or activity, first one have to really think and examine whether that is something positive work or a negative. And then also have to just examine and think, if you just get accomplished with that job or work, then what is the benefit and how much benefit is there. And also have to examine and think whether that can be possible to accomplish or not. So in that way, if it seems that suddenly that you could accomplish with that job or work or the activity, then one have to just go ahead with that. So other than that, just when somebody explains to you to do something, or you have a just kind of idea on that, and then not really examining and not thinking properly, and then started doing something, and then at the end there are so many problems. And similar like that, the Dharma practice is also that one have to just examine and think, and then at the end that one really need to have that kind of determination to carry through the practice. And just once one have just stabilized with the just master and then the Dharma practice, it is important to be just stable in that way. It is not good just having all these kind of changes. So this I'm just only talking, maybe just too much talk. Now today just conferring the Bodhisattva vow. And in general, that every day we are just chanting the Bodhisattva vow, we are receiving the Bodhisattva vow. But today, just the Bodhisattva vow a little bit more detailed or extensive. And in general, the Bodhisattva vow, that there are many oral instructions of the lamas, and also the Buddha's teaching, and also the Nagarjuna's teaching.